Hey everybody, we're back in the shop this morning and I'm going to introduce you to a couple new projects. I briefly went over this body tub that came in, and this belongs to Thomas, and if you can see, there's a lot of holes from a previous soft top, and we're going to plug all those up. Got some dents to get out. A lot of holes everywhere. We do have some floor rust, some toolbox rust to deal with. Now this body has been dipped in chemicals, and that was a couple years ago as far as I know. And then it has been treated with a substance called OSFO, and that keeps it from rusting. This has been sitting I believe for 2 years and it hasn't rusted, but OSFO is not paint friendly, and trust me on that, no matter what they tell you, it's not paint friendly. So when all the metal work is done on this, we'll probably give it a quick sandblast to get all the OSFO off there instead of trying to neutralize it. I don't know what happens to it after 2 years, but I certainly don't want to paint over it. We've got a lot of holes to fill. This was for some seat pads that were here. And if you're watching this, Thomas, we've got an extra cutout right here around your PTO hole. And I don't remember if we talked about if you had a PTO in this Jeep or not, but if you do and you need this cutout right here, this extra cutout, if you need that extra cutout, let me know. If not, I will put it back to original. But I forgot what we talked about there. And if you're planning on running a rear seat, which I don't know if you're running a rear seat or not, I'm wondering if you have the brackets that go here, and I'm wondering if I should remove your seat belt bolts so that you can get seat belts in there easily. I don't want to paint them as they are if you're going to need to take them out. So if you're going to run a back seat, let me know. You can see we're pretty dented up here, here, around the corner here. And the floor, I think you can see it has a terrible sag in it right there. I'll show you how to get that out. Otherwise, it's in pretty good shape. And here we are on the firewall. And you'd have your tag here. He does have an additional 4 holes here. And I'm wondering if you have your original plates there, Thomas. Was this a Canadian built Jeep? Because this is where the Canadian built tag goes. So I'm just wondering if it's Canadian built or not. So if you're watching this, just shoot me an email, let me know. Battery tray goes here. We have a broken bolt here, and that keeps the tray from flopping forward. Somebody put an antenna there at one time. We're going to fix that up and cover that up. But it's in very nice shape. It does need attention in a lot of areas, but it's a very solid body to start with. And I am finally getting going on it, and this is going to be the prairie gold color when it's finished. And kind of hard to zoom in on that, but the prairie gold is kind of a yellowy color. There it is right there. So that's the original color, and we're going back there. And I'll show you some of the original pieces that still have original paint on them. Okay, there's the dash, tailgates there, and here's the glove box. That's the color. Obviously this is faded, but we'll match the color perfectly, and this will go back prairie gold. And you can see here the holes in the hood for the Tuxedo Park edition. And I believe the chassis is finished, and that's down in Georgia. So I believe the chassis is finished. He did a painstaking restoration with as many new old stock parts as he could, and I am doing the body work for him. So a lot of metal work to do. We got to get a lot of dents out. We got to get that floor back in shape. The wheelhouses are dented down, so I'm going to show you guys step by step how we get this back in shape. And right now I have another project that I'm getting going on. It's been sitting here a while, but I'm finally getting going on these things, and I'll introduce you to that other project in just a minute. Okay, this belongs to Matthew, and this is another V6 Jeep. That body came off a V6 Jeep, and this is another V6 Jeep, and it's in the shop, and I am going to do some frame work to it first before I get too far on it. That way I can get that all welded in, cleaned up, and then when I sandblast the whole chassis, everything will get sandblasted at once. Okay, here's the rear crossmember, and it is in pretty tough shape. Lots of holes in it. It's super thin. I highlighted the rivets. You can see where the rivets are and where there's some weld I have to cut. So these will have to come out here. Same thing on this side. And this Jeep did not come in with a drawbar, so I was able to find a real super clean unit out in Arizona, and no pitting in there, and it's really nice shape. So that's going to go on after I get the crossmember on, and I'm going to take you over to the bench and show you the crossmember, and then we're going to rivet this one in place with real rivets. We're going to hot rivet this in place. We're not going to use those rivets that are bolts that snap off. We're actually going to rivet this one on, and I will show you that in another video. But let's head over to the bench, and I will show you the crossmember and how we get that welded up. Okay guys, here's a crossmember, and I used to make these a long time ago, probably for about 15 years or so. I made thousands of these, and I sold a bunch of them. And if you have a crossmember on your Jeep, chances are it came from my shop. But I quit making them a while ago. I was always cheaper than the imported ones, but for some reason people like to buy the Filipino ones, and as that started happening, I kind of quit making them. I do have a few left, and I'm putting a authentic American-made crossmember that I know is correct on Matthew's Jeep. And you can see this fine line right here and right here. That was in the press brake. It made just a tiny mark. And then we bend the tab in the center, and to make the correct shape here, we bend some little pieces, tack them in, weld it, grind it, and you never know it's there. So, once that's done, and the crossmember used to come with that center plate and the rivets. That's just a flat rivet. And I will show you guys how to put flat rivets in and buck them into shape. There's some flat ones, CJ5 As and 3As and a lot of other vehicles. use these round head rivets, and they're not any more difficult to do than the flat ones. So here's my riveting bag with some of my rivet sets. That one was for an old Dodge Power Wagon. That's for a round head rivet. You can see it's starting to swell up here. There's a lot of use on that one. There's a different size round head rivet set. And a big 1/2-inch rivet round head. And this is for a weird shape. I'm not sure what I did with that one. And this heavy duty one is for the flathead rivet. So just some various rivet setting tools. Most of the rivets on the Jeep are going to be 3/8 diameter, round head or flat head. There are some areas where there's 5/16 rivets, and I have those as well. But get one out. That's a little bit thinner one, round head. Just cut it to size and buck it to the shape you want. And there's a lot of guys out there that are using the bolt style rivets, where it's got threads on it and you tighten it until it breaks off and then you dress the head. And if you're in a hurry and you're just going for looks, that's an okay way to go. I don't use those. I like to hot rivet things back together. And in the factory, these were done with big hydraulic squeezers, but I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to show you how to heat these, back them up properly, and form the head you want. And you can use that on any kind of auto restoration. Like I say, I've done heavy trucks. I do the Jeep Crossmembers all the time, and it looks nice when you're done. It looks authentic, and it's as strong as the day it came out of the factory if you do it right. So I'm going to get this crossmember welded up, and then I've got a lot of work to get the old one off, and then in the next video we should be ready to rivet this one back on. So let's get this welded up, and I'll be back with you in just a little bit. Okay, there's just a quick blend job. I got all the welds ground down, and after it's on the chassis and it's fixed, I'll give it another grind. Blend everything in perfectly when I'm not chasing it around the bench, and then once we sandblast that, everything will blend in just like the chassis, and it'll look like it's never been replaced. So that's where I'm at right now, and I have a lot of grinding, drilling, and weld cutting to get the other one out, but I won't bore you with the details of that. Any way you can get that off, drill the rivets out, grind them, punch them. Just try not to mess up any of your frame when you're cutting the welds out. Just go at it nice and easy with a die grinder, and I will be back with you guys when this cross member is going on. And that's about all I have for you today. So I will continue on the body. I will continue on this chassis, getting this up and ready. And there is a body here for it, and I don't know how far I'm going to go with it, but I still got to sandblast it, paint it, do the brakes. They're a little messed up. Rebuild some of the steering components because they're real bad. Shocks and things like that. So just some basic stuff on that one. And then I have another Jeep coming in on Friday, which we will pull the engine and do another complete L-head rebuild. And you know, I have that other one going on here, so we're busy with engines, body work, and general repairs. So I will take you along on some of the things I think you might want to see. And like I always say, if there's anything that you'd like to see specifically, just mention it in the comments below. But for today, we're going to end it here, and appreciate you watching as always, and catch you on the next video.